He's beautiful. I feel like I'm on trial. Currently, I'm sitting in Forrester Incorporation's headquarters. Everything went by so fast. Lots of cars and flying ships came over and picked all of us up. They detained James and Eok, transporting them in a different ship. I don't know what became of them. As far as I know, Caleb returned to his own ship and left Earth. I still can't believe I'm actually back. Valkii, Kane's voice disturbs me from my thoughts. I look up at him. Why won't you tell me? He asks. Tell you what? Why you were protecting those damn aliens, the both of them. He's watching. I know you can't see. That's a very long story. At least with Eok, I can readily say it's because he helped me escape. But honestly, even I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that I didn't want Kane to finish off James. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I saw my best friend kill him. I sigh and lean my face into my hands. Give me a moment, Kane. I was in outer space not too long ago. And I mean legit, in space, with no suit. I don't even know how I survived that. You were in space, Kane repeats incredulously. Yes, you shot at us. What? I didn't do anything, he says indignantly. Correct. We were the ones that decided to shoot the ship, says a voice entering the room. Again, I don't know who this is. 2 other goons follow suit. Oh, this is Neil. A perfectly tailored coat, neatly styled purple hair. It's Forrester's heir, Neil Forrester. I got it. Gotcha. Ow, he's biscuiting me and it hurts. His face is plastered all over the news for being rich and powerful. Miss Hearth, I presume? He asks, looking at me. Yes, I answer. Had we known you were on that ship, we wouldn't have fired, but it was best to defend Earth from another attack, he explains. You shot it twice, I point out. The second one nearly killed me. Yet you're alive, he drawls out. I glare at him. Don't stop being pedantic with me. Neil sits behind his desk, keeping a watchful eye on me. The 2 men who are with him stand by the door, looking like imposing bodyguards. We have a lot of things to discuss, but first, would you like something to drink or eat? His golden eyes stare at the bruises on my arms. Perhaps medical attention? I wrap my arms around my body in a defensive manner. I know this looks bad. Kane finally notices the bruises on my arms as well. What did they do to you there? He gasps. Nothing. They're just bruises from shots, I explain. They were drugging you? No, I protest. Even when I try to explain, it all sounds worse. I'm sorry, he's so cute. He's pawing. We'll get back to that later. Neil waves his hand at Kane. Where did you take them? I ask, wanting to know where Eok and James are. That's classified information at the moment, which is what I was about to... I quickly interrupt him. I don't care. Tell me where they are. I raise my voice. What if they're torturing poor Eok? Or worse, dissecting him? Neil sighs. Clearly the situation is emotionally stressful for you. Stop analyzing me. I just want to know if they're safe and you want dissecting them on a table somewhere. Why are you so protective of them? Is this Stockholm Syndrome? Kane questions me. No, look, it isn't that simple. One of them helped me escape. I can't have you hurting him. Miss Hearth, I promise you, we're not dissecting any extraterrestrials. They've been detained and are currently being held. We will eventually interrogate them. Interrogate? I exclaim. Don't tell me they're planning on hurting them. I can't, no, I won't allow that to happen. Eok has helped me and he's been my friend. There's no way I would let him get tortured. And James, too. I'm conflicted about him, but I think I understand his situation now. The reason he's had to attack Earth. Now that he's failed, more trouble is coming. In fact, your brother's invention has been very helpful in that regard, Neil adds nonchalantly. Eric, I say, my voice halting. Is he here? I want to see him so bad, it's enough to make me tear up again. Eric Hearth has been notified of your situation. He's in transit. Yeah, don't worry, Valkii. Eri is the one that sent me to the park in the first place. I'm sure he'll be here before you know it, Kane reassures me. Miss Hearth, we brought you here to discuss some very important matters, Neil suddenly begins. I'm going to guess it's not because I was abducted or anything, I mumble. Roughly 4 months ago, Kleiner was attacked by an unidentified ship. This ship left the same day, and from our reports, you were taken along with them. I nearly stutter. Has it really been that long? 4 months. Eric went mad, I tell you. Well, I did too, but he's the genius who can actually do something about it, Kane interjects. The world was in chaos. Suddenly we needed to protect ourselves from not only the many powerful factions and terrorists on Earth, but also attacks from outer space, Neil continues. Forrester Inc. has erected a new division, the Defense Against Extraterrestrial Terrorism, or DAET for short. Date. Mr. Hearth has been a valued asset in helping shape our national defenses from any such attacks. That's when I realized, when the ship was shot. Eric's invention shot down the ship, I state. We now have a defense mechanism that shoots powerful blasts into space. Today proved it works and that Forrester Inc. can protect Earth as we know it. With my brother's invention, I point out, not liking how he's taking all the credit. Well, he wouldn't have gotten very far without our financial backing, Neil says with a smirk. But I digress. The public knows very little about the extraterrestrials, and we like to keep it that way. The fact we captured 2 of them is now a national secret. You're right, kitten. Neil produces a stack of papers from a briefcase. He pushes them across the desk towards me and Kane. You will need to sign this non-disclosure clause. What? Kane exclaims. For what? I question. People are going to want to ask me where I've been, you know. Actually, Kane starts. Neil shoots me this smug look like he's privy to some information that I'm unaware of. We were ahead of that too. Your disappearance has been kept from the public as well. Very few people actually knew of your kidnapping. No one knew? I thought the entire Earth would have known my face by now. I turn to Kane, and you went along with it, I accuse him. For what it's worth, I was against the idea, but Eric made me agree to it in return for whatever money he needed to work on his inventions or something. The document identifies the people who are cleared for this classified information, including everyone in this room. Outside of that circle of cleared names, though, you are not to breathe a word of this to another soul. Neil lowers his eyebrows, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. You shall not contact your friends to share your experiences in outer space. You shall not use any form of social media to talk about these experiences, whether anonymously, under a different pen name, or under your own name. The more Neil blabbers on the list of things I can and cannot do, I slowly start to tune him out. I'm still in shock that I'm back on Earth and immediately thrown into some kind of legal waiver. Kane groans loudly and quickly starts signing the paper. He didn't even read it. Why do I have to sign this? I ask, very wary of it. Unfortunately, if you want to return to your daily life, you must. You have now become a person of interest, all of you involved. Together, we can strengthen our defenses against this extraterrestrial invasion, but we must keep it from the public. Well, I say, staring at the paper. Oh, this is Eric. Where is she? A voice hollers through the hallways. Is she in there? Let me in. Get out of the way, you musclehead. He is a model of someone, right? I just don't know who. That voice. I get up from my seat and turn around just in time to see Eric burst through the doors. Or maybe he's completely, new. I don't know. He just like that reminds me of someone. The 2 bodyguards immediately apprehend him, holding him back. Valkii, he exclaims upon seeing me. Neil shakes his head at the both of them. It's fine, let him go. Eric. Tears start running down my cheeks as I fling my arms around Eric, who returns the favor, squishing me against his body. I can't believe it, he sobs in an unsightly manner. He touches my face, tilting it left and right, inspecting me to see if it really is me. Yeah, I'm back, I say with the biggest smile. Your hair, he says, noticing it's different. I wipe the tears from my eyes. I had to cut it, I say with a small chuckle. I have so many stories to tell. You stink so bad, he laughs. Shut up, I couldn't shower for nearly a month, I reply, smiling broadly. Eric's eyes darken when his hands lower and he touches my arms. What is this? Did they hurt you? No, it's okay, I say quickly. As much as I would like to allow this family reunion to continue, we should finish up our contracts here, Neil interrupts us. Pipe down and wait your turn. I haven't seen my sister in months. She's been traumatized. Who knows what she's been through? The last thing she needs right now is you harping on her to sign a piece of paper, Eric argues with him. I can't help but smile and feel so proud. I'm so happy to be back. I missed Eric so much. Neil sighs dejectedly. Fine, I'll grant you a moment. He leaves the room, taking his bodyguards with him. Were you really the one that shot at the ship? I ask when we're alone. I tried to stop the lot of them. What if you were on it? Turns out I was right. They blew up the room I was in. I was blasted into space. Space? Valkii is a fucking legend, Kane interjects. But I somehow managed to reel us back in. Kane, you would have been proud. I think James got me back inside. I'm unsure. I fell unconscious. Eric tilts his head. James, he repeats. Oh, James, Captain James. He's the guy you caught, the one that started this mess. Is he the one that gave you this? He asks, pointing at my arms. Yes. I'm gonna kill him, Eric yells, his eyes flashing with anger. Don't you dare, I exclaim immediately. Eric and Kane stare at me in silence, shocked at my sudden outburst. Valkii? Kane asks, a bit hesitant. I take in a deep breath, willing my heart to calm down. I don't know why I suddenly raised my voice like that. I didn't mean to defend James or anything, but they only know half the story here. You're not killing anyone. Look, he didn't hurt me. These bruises you see on my arms, they're caused by injections from a medicine I had to take. Medicine? What was wrong with you? Were they treating you? Eric keeps firing question after question. I sigh. This is a mess. I have so much to tell you guys, but at the moment, not everything is black and white. I think what's important is to focus on what James said right before he passed out. Veritas is going to kill us all. That's a threat I do not take lightly. James failed his mission again, which means if what Veritas said was true right before we left Yule, then he is going to return to Earth. Guys, something worse is going to come, I warn them. You're not making any sense, Valkii, says Eric, concerned. Look, that ship left, right? Yeah, they couldn't handle the preparations we made. Our newly formed date team kicked their asses, Eric explains. That ship is going back to its home planet to inform their leader of what happened, and he's going to come back personally to finish the job. What are you saying? Kane asks. I thought that guy I fried was the leader. I shake my head. He's just a captain of the ship. They have someone who rules the planet, and he's much scarier. Veritas is the one we should all worry about. If the power that I saw coming from Nornus is something that Veritas is easily able to control himself, there doesn't need to be a comma there. That's what threw me off. If the power that I saw coming from Nornus is something that Veritas, because then it would be like, if the power I saw coming from Nornus is something that Veritas is easily able to control himself, I don't think there needs to be a comma there, right? Then James is the least of our worries. Both Kane and Eric stay silent as they process my words. So more aliens are coming, says Kane with a sneer. Pretty much. We'll be ready for them, Eric reassures me. I need to see them, I say. Huh? See who? Kane asks, confused. The ones that are locked up right now. I need to speak to them. Why? Eric inquires. They're locked up and subdued. My invention is keeping them in check. Your invention? Yeah, remember that weird infinity bracelet Eric wanted to make with my electricity? Kane interjects. The one that blew up in your face. I look at them disapprovingly. I improved it. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, but the side effects surprised me. Side effects? Oh no, don't tell me they're being tortured already. With the unique properties of Kane's electricity, I invented a bracelet that locks your ability, your power. It keeps a current of electricity flowing that prevents you from using your ability. How would you... Surely you would have to calibrate that to each superhero, because not every superhero has the exact same amount of power. I don't know. I'm honestly quite impressed. A bracelet that can turn off your ability. Is that true? I mean, I haven't tested it out on many superheroes yet, and we lucked out when we realized it worked on that alien. So yeah, he can't do anything anymore. You're safe. He's not a threat. It's not that I'm afraid James is a threat at this point. He's failed his mission, and Veritas personally threatened to kill Lana in front of him if he messed up. He's in a bad situation, much like the rest of us. I believe we can still join forces together. Why does Amazon? It's always at this time. Eric, you don't understand. I think it is in our best interest if we convinced him to join us and help us against the next attack. We can't have him locked up like this. Eric laughs at my suggestion. Surely you're joking, right? Why the hell should we ask them to join us? One of them is already my ally, I reply. To lock him up is unethical. He's on our side. The doors to the office open and Neil walks back inside. All right, I've heard enough, he sighs. You were eavesdropping, Kane accuses him. We have cameras, yes. Neil turns to me. So, what is this about another threat we need to worry about? I take in a breath to prepare myself. Neil Forrester is a businessman. I have to play this smart. Good. Now that I have your attention, I want to make a deal. A deal? What for? The prisoners. I want to see them, and I want to make sure no harm comes to them. I then close my eyes. I know I'm asking the impossible here, but Eok deserves it. And release them. Neil laughs, looking unconcerned. But then he sees I'm dead serious and stops laughing. Valkii, what the hell are you talking about? You want to free them? You really do have Stockholm Syndrome. We need to take you to see a therapist, Kane rattles on. Neil crosses his arms. What would you even offer in return? There's the business side of him. I knew he'd toss away the idea because there's nothing in it for them. Luckily, there's a lot of information I can offer. I have a lot of knowledge about the planet, about their soldiers, how powerful they are. Not to mention I already know the prisoners. I can talk to them, bring them over to our side as allies. Neil lazily looks at his fingernails. That's hardly enough to justify the release of these extraterrestrials. Well, yeah, it's a stupid idea, Kane agrees. However, perhaps if you were to throw in the schematics to this bracelet device Mr. Hirth invented, then we might have room to negotiate. What? Eric looks perplexed. Deal, I say immediately. Valkii, he groans. You don't know what you're agreeing to here. Whatever it takes, let me see them. All right, we'll make some arrangements. You'll hear from us tomorrow, Neil confirms. Good. I have to make sure nothing bad happens to them. Eok helped me escape, and James could be a very valuable asset against the imminent threat of Veritas arriving. Eric just keeps staring at me as if I've lost my mind. Oh my god, we're home. That I'm back on Earth is bizarre, to say the least. I feel like it's not real, that I'm in shock. I expected to open my eyes and find myself back on Yule. My own living room feels so unfamiliar to me, I don't actually feel like I'm home. Both Eric and Kane bombarded me with questions last night. I had to tell them to shut up and leave me alone as I just wanted to get some rest. My boutique has been closed ever since my disappearance, though Eric used Forrester Inc.'s money to pay for all my outstanding bills. He's handled everything well in my absence. I could finally charge my phone as well, so I turned it on. I flipped through the pictures I took on Yule, confirming that what I went through was real. One of the pictures shows Eok in the training room. I can't stop thinking about Eok and James. What's happened to them? I have to protect Eok at all costs. He helped me escape after all. I can't leave him rotting in a cell. My phone beeps. I've received a message from Eric. They're here. All right, I'm coming. I take in a deep breath. Time to meet them. Yay. We're taken to an unknown location. There were no windows in the van, and there's no signal in the building either, so we can't use our phones. I guess it is a secret facility of Forrester Inc. Miss Hirth, I hope you feel more settled in now that you're back on Earth. Neil greets me. Not really, I answer him honestly. Can I see them? A little peeved and not here to make small talk, Neil turns around and starts to walk. Follow me. He leads us through a corridor, passing by several armed bodyguards. I hope you know what you're doing, says Eric quietly. I hope so too. My idea is crazy, but I do believe having James on our side would help tremendously. And Eok, well, he doesn't deserve to be locked up in the first place. Neil stops as we pass by a large pane of glass. Behind the window is the unmistakable body of Eok tied to a chair. A black bag covers his head. Eok! I slam my fists on the window. You barbaric people. Remove that sack from his head this instant. That is no way to treat my friend. Eok's head stirs as he recognizes the sound of my voice. Princess? He calls out weakly. Miss Hirth, it is for our own safety that we... Take it off right now, I yell. You better listen to her. Valkii looks furious, Eric pipes in. Neil closes his eyes and sighs. He then flicks his head at one of the guards, who quickly comes over and presses his hand against the window. The window lights up to scan his hand and beeps. A small opening appears in the glass. I don't even waste a second and rush inside. My hands quickly tear the bag off his head. Eok's golden eyes roll in different directions. He says, confused at the sudden light. His hands and feet are bound. I conjure my thread and quickly slice through the plastic tie wraps. Princess is all right. I'm glad, he says with a small smile. Hey now, I did not agree to release the prisoner. Neil quickly enters the room in alarm. He's not a threat, I bark at him. Then I look at Eok's face. Are you hurt anywhere? I ask. Eok's hand reaches for his side, and I can tell that it's bruised. He could very well have broken a few ribs. Mostly fine, he replies. Captain Caleb's kick was very strong. Valkii, who exactly is this guy, and how can you understand him? Asks Eric. I turn to look at them. Wait, you can't understand him? Eok taps my arm and catches my attention. We have a babblefish in our ears. It makes our brains understand each other's language, he reminds me. I will have to consciously focus on speaking your language before they can understand me. What's he saying? Neil demands to know. Do you think you can do that, Eok? I need them to understand that you're not a threat, that you helped me escape, I tell them. I will try, he agrees. From now on, whenever James or Eok speak in their own language in front of others, their font will change to reflect this. Okay, that's cool. I turn to the rest once more. This is Eok. He's a soldier in their ranks, but in reality, he's a spy that's been working for the rebellion. He helped me escape off the ship. His enemy is our enemy, I explain. A spy, you say? Neil starts to circle around Eok. With a common enemy? Veritas, I say, which makes Eok's brows lift up. This Veritas, who is he? He took my planet, Eok answers him. Everyone's shocked to hear him speak. I guess he's actually speaking English at the moment. It does sound slower than usual, reminding me of how he used to talk before. It speaks, says Neil, slightly impressed. All night long, and we didn't hear a peep from it, but now it can formulate words. Have some respect. Don't call him an it, I tell him. Suddenly, Eric leans closer to Eok. Fascinating. How can you speak our language? It's this little device in our ears. It lets us interpret foreign languages, I guess, I quickly explain. You have one too? Eric turns to me. Yes, I say, brushing away the hair from behind my ears to reveal the tiny scar at the top of my ear. Anyways, let's not get distracted right now, I say while shaking my head. Eric can sometimes get a little too excited about technology. Veritas is their lord. Illegitimate one, Eok corrects me. I let Eok do the talking this time around. He take water planets. He wants your planet, says Eok in slightly broken English. It's taking him a lot of effort to speak this way. Oh my god, Cat, I'm not comfortable. And why should we be afraid of this Veritas? Neil asks flippantly. Your attack yesterday was stopped dead in its tracks. A failure. We now have an impenetrable defense. Eok's eyes narrow. Veritas has power to undo planet, he says. Undo? I repeat. Eok looks at me apologetically. I'm sorry, Princess. It's hard for me to focus. It's okay, I reassure him. Have you had anything to drink or eat yet? No, tell us more about this Veritas, Neil interrupts us. Can you stop being so hard on him? He's trying his best to talk given the circumstances. Maybe if you gave him some water, he'd be in a better shape to help us. I defend Eok. Fine, Neil huffs. Guards, get some water for our prisoner. One of the guards leaves the room. Princess, Veritas is a very powerful being. Do you remember when the young prince Nornus flashed the blinding light? Yes. I remember how everything was pretty much torn to shreds in that alley. Nornus killed one of the rebels as well. The guard returns with a cup of water. I quickly take it from his hands and offer it to Eok. Here, drink. Ah, thank you. I was quite thirsty. Eok happily downs the entire cup of water. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. He focuses his gaze on Neil. Undo planet. Destroy. Gone, he says in a serious tone. Everyone in the room understands his words and the implication. You're saying that there's a being in the galaxy out there with the power to destroy planets? Neil asks flippantly. He almost sounds scared. He come for your planet. 3 Nunnoon he here. What the heck's a Nunnoon? Eric raises his eyebrows. It's something like 20 days, I explain. He's arriving in 60 days. Is that what you're saying? Asks Neil. Eok gives me a slight smile after seeing the worried expression on my face. Don't be scared, Princess. We anticipated this from the start. The Resistance will use the opportunity to overthrow him. You mean when they come for Earth? Yes, with less soldiers staying behind. The Resistance has a chance to take over the palace. The font's a little bit smushed together, so it's a bit harder. But what about when he arrives here? Isn't he taking Princess Lana with him as well? That will be our moment to strike, he says with a grin. Can you two stop speaking as if you're the only ones in the room? Eric complains. Some of us don't understand alien language. That runt, says Eok, looking at Eric. He looks like you. I end up giggling at his description of Eric. That's my brother. Yeah, and you better not touch my sister or I'll kill you, Eric threatens him. Who is this Princess Lana you mentioned? Neil interjects. So much to unpack, I say with a sigh. It's Lana, by the way. I turn around to face Neil. You heard what Eok had to say. I think you understand what's going to happen now. Another attack, Neil finishes my thoughts. And we need his help to stop it, including the other one as well. What are you proposing? Is James actually said jams? Jams. I don't know. Let us all work together to stop Veritas from destroying Earth. Let them go free. Free? Eric exclaims. Neil pauses to think. I can't just let them go free. These are beings who launched an attack on us yesterday, and you expect us to let them walk among us like nothing happened. I can hide them, I say immediately. There's this, lake, a cabin. My parents owned it. Mom and Dad's cabin, Eric repeats. It's been empty for years. We haven't returned since they died. Exactly. It's empty, secluded. They can stay there. Neil rubs his temples, looking upset. Just because you have a hole to put them in doesn't mean we can let them go free. They attacked Earth. We can't trust them. They could attack again. I fiddle my fingers together, trying to come up with any solutions. The bracelet! You said it was holding their power back, right? Valkii, it's not fused to their body or something, and it's just a prototype. I only have the one that's currently being used on the other one, Eric explains. Then, I rack my brain trying to come up with something else. What can I do to make sure that they would trust them? I'm already taking a wild shot in the dark and presuming I can convince James to be on our side, but how can I convince Forrester Inc.? They have a point. They can't trust them not to attack again. Promises not to attack are just empty words. And then it hits me. Oh my god, Cat, I'm sorry, I'm dying. Alright, there we go. My foot is now out from underneath me. And then it hits me. I'm sorry. Oathkeeper, I announce. Neil tilts his head. Where are you going with the... Call Oathkeeper. We can make a deal. Make them promise not to attack. Oathkeeper, a superhero shrouded in mystery. They deal in promises. I've never actually met them, but I know they have ties to Forrester Inc., and that they sometimes hire them to seal an oath. An oath that cannot be broken unless both parties are willing to die on their word. Neil sighs. Ridiculous. For one, Oathkeeper's services always come with a very steep price, he starts. And secondly, it only works when both parties know the same language. I shrug. That's fine. Just bind it to me. I can speak to them. You're willing to die? He questions me. I look down at Eok, still in the chair. He was willing to sacrifice his life for me. James, he has saved me many times before. I wouldn't say I'm ready to die for the both of them, however. Valkii, are you mad? Are you being serious right now? You can't just make an oath like that. That's some serious shit. The reason I'm standing here is because of Eok. He is our ally and I trust him. Eok blushes timidly. You humble this lowly grunt. Regardless whether or not he's your friend, Neil starts. You are not in position to bargain with us. Both of these are under Forrester Inc.'s jurisdiction. You said you wanted the schematics to that bracelet, no? In return for my brother's invention, you let me make an oath to the both of them that they won't be an issue. They can help us. Valkii, don't just go around using my designs as bargaining chips, Eric groans. Neil furrows his eyebrows and folds his arms, deep in thought. We will have to draft a new contract. You'll have to abide by some very strict rules. They must be chipped and tracked. They must be surveyed 24/7, and they cannot be alone. Those are some of the basics. My eyes twinkle. He's considering it. Yes, I can do that. In return, you sign our contract and Mr. Hirth hands over the designs of the bracelet contraption. I nod my head. Well, this is not how I planned my morning, Eric grumbles. Mr. Yvette, Neil calls one of the guards. Call my cousin. Cousin? We have an oath to make. As we wait for Oathkeeper to show up, I had asked them to let me see James. He is secured in another cell, much like Eok. He's been tied and bagged. We haven't seen Dimitri yet. I don't like how they're treating the both of them. This is just unnecessarily cruel. I've already got another cup of water, as I suspect he hasn't had anything to drink yet either. Let me be alone with him, I tell everyone. Huh? Alone? With him? Asks Eric incredulously. Yes, he won't hurt me, I say, confident in my assessment. You accept the risks? Neil points out. Yes. Oh. Very well. Open the cell. A guard opens the entrance and I enter. I take in a deep breath as I approach the chair in the middle of the room. He hasn't moved or said anything. His wrists are behind his back, cuffed and chained, unlike Eok, who got the tie wrap treatment. I know James is strong enough to free himself from his chains, but I also realize he's wearing that bracelet Eric invented. Perhaps it really is sufficient to hold him back. My fingers reach out for the bag and I grab a hold of it, slowly removing it from his head. The mop of black hair falls down on his face. His eyes are closed. It's so strange to be in front of him like this. Our roles have been reversed. Before, I was the one who was captured and at his mercy. Now everything depends on me. Good. You've healed, I say, scanning his body for any injuries. His armor is in tatters, but his body looks fine, though the impact area is still a little bruised. James? I softly call out his name. Is he pretending to be asleep, or is he really out cold? I've got some water for you, I say as I raise the cup of water. Doesn't matter, James grumbles. I bite back my tongue. James spoke, though his eyes are still closed. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Everything. I know your mission failed, but my offer is still on the table, I point out. What good is your offer when Lord Veritas is going to murder my sister? James spits out, eyes finally wide open. I lost. Now I'm forced to watch her die, before he kills everyone else. He says this in a defeated voice, like he's accepted it. I kneel down in front of him. You don't need to watch her die, I say in a soft voice. Now drink something. I press the cup to his lips, but he turns the other cheek, knocking away the cup from my hands, letting it spill out on the floor. Frustrated at his non-compliance, I pull back and sigh. Are you just going to sit there and wail in your self-pity? I demand to know. There's nothing I can do anymore, he says, looking down at the floor. I never expected him to just resign himself to his fate and not even fight for it. Where did your spirit go? You're not even going to try to save your sister? I egg him on. James scoffs. Opposing Lord Veritas is futile. He is the strongest being I know. Strong doesn't mean he'll win, I point out. Strength is all that matters. If that's true, then why are you the one in the chair and not me? I point out. His brown eyes flash anger at me, a seething irritation bubbling towards the surface. There's no retort, no remark. My words are sinking in. I can't have him act like this. Where did his pride go? His stubbornness? Is he really going to accept his defeat? I need to get a rise out of him if I want to bring him over to our side. You've taken so many punishments. You saved my life twice. Those scars on your back are proof you always got back up. I start to rant. Now that someone stronger than you is in the picture, you suddenly lose the will to fight? To get back up? I cross my arms and click my tongue at him. I guess I overestimated you if you're willing to roll over and accept death so easily. I turn around, flicking my head over my shoulder to look back at him. Have fun rotting away in this prison and watching her die. His nostrils flare up and his muscles flex, struggling against the chains that bind him. I see a flicker of blue in his eyes, but it's gone before I know it. James grunts loudly as his eyes travel down to his hands. What is this putrid device? He demands to know. The bracelet. It's preventing him from phasing. Just gonna call it phasing. I face him once more, grinning at him as I bend down onto my knee. Seems you're not willing to go down without a fight after all, I say, feeling smug. Shut your mouth hole. You do not know the terror that is coming, the true nature of Lord Veritas. Then help us. You know everything about him, and we have the power and numbers to defeat him. Together, I believe we can save your sister. Help you? James laughs. I was the one that kidnapped you. Yes, but our roles have been reversed, and I think you could be a great ally. You have a mad thought process, Princess. I've been trying to get you to reconsider this entire time. You want to save your sister, and I don't want my planet to blow up. I think our interests are aligned. So what will it be? Will you help us, or stay in this prison? I offer him the choice. James clicks his tongue at me, glaring at the ground. Somehow, I managed to get all parties convinced. Forrester Inc. has excellent lawyers. They were able to draw up a contract in just a few hours that detailed everything. From me being the designated translator, because they don't understand alien language, to their caretaker, to being very limited in what they can and cannot do. In exchange for Eric's schematics and patent, as well as the full cooperation of both Eok and James. I mean, there's quite a few naysayers and reluctant, but both Eok and James are willing to side with us for the upcoming attack against Earth. We'll have to uphold a few rules here and there before I can get them out of here. I finally signed the contract. The Oathkeeper will be involved as well, which is who we're waiting for. You, James exclaims once he enters the office and spies Eok sitting in a chair at the desk. Eok nearly jumps inside his own skin and yelps. I'm going to turn your insides out and strangle you with them, he threatens and rushes over towards Eok. However, one of the bodyguards keeps him in check and pulls back on his chains, causing him to stagger backwards. Eok whimpers, looking at me with worried eyes. I'm not sure this will work. Why does he look so angry? What's the matter? Asks Neil, looking at the scene unfold between James and Eok. Oh, he's just happy to see one of his crew members alive, I say with a fake smile. Big dude looks like he's going to strangle the little one, Eric so accurately observes. I quickly jab him in the side with my elbow. Let's not start things up. Neil shuffles some documents on his desk. Now that all the papers were signed, we just need to wait for... Oh, it's, our BFF, I guess. Darling! Oh, no, it's, his actual cousin in his route, right? Yeah. Darling, the door to the office bursts open. A woman wearing very sophisticated and expensive clothing marches inside. Her eyes are covered by a giant set of glasses. It's about time you called. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten all about me, she says with a slight pout. Neil grimaces at her behavior. He pushes his glasses up the bridge of his nose. You're here for a job, Oathkeeper, he stresses her superhero name. So that's Oathkeeper. First time I've seen her. I didn't know it was a woman. The woman surveys the situation. There's several people in the room, but the one that stands out the most. Oh my, she exclaims once she notices Eok, the odd one out. Would you look at that fantastic skin color? She gushes as she walks up to Eok. Eok doesn't know how to react and decides it's best to play possum and not move. Neil gestures towards the three of us. We require 2 oaths, he explains. Huh? 2, she echoes, sounding surprised. That's highly unusual. I know it's a family business and all, but surely you're asking a bit too much here from little old me, she complains. Neil sighs. You'll be compensated, of course. Hello, I'm Valkii Hearth, I introduce myself. I'm the one who requested you. Oh, darling, you've definitely seen better days, she says, worriedly looking at the bruises on my arms. She stands up straight. All right, who is taking the oath and who is the keeper, she asks. I'm a little confused. It seems I'm dealing with a newbie, she tuts disapprovingly. To be honest, I personally thought you were a myth, says Eric. Well, I am quite dreamy, she chuckles. The one who takes the oath will be the one who cannot break it. The keeper will be the one to keep the oath, and they're able to break it whenever they wish, Neil explains. He looks at me. Miss Hearth, you're the keeper. Both of them are the oath takers. Huh? This little darling is the keeper. You know what happens when someone breaks an oath, right? They die, Eric finishes for her. Or at least, that's what the rumors are. Correct, except both of them will die, she says cheerfully. So it's in your best interest to uphold the oath, okay? No takebacks. James suddenly takes a step forward. How will we die? Everyone turns to look at him. He's been quiet this entire time, listening in on us. I've already explained to him what was going to happen, but he has a better understanding of the situation now. What was that now? Is he a foreigner? Asked the Oathkeeper, a little confused. Darling, you know this only works if you both speak the same language, right? You have to understand what oath you're taking. I can understand him just fine, I reassure her. He asked how will I. Well, once the oath taker has broken their oath, both the keeper and taker's hearts stop beating instantly, she explains. If Eok or James breaks the oath, we will both die. I am putting a lot of faith in them. I'm having some serious doubts about this. How can we trust these aliens? I don't want my sister to end up dead, Eric complains. My eyes flicker over towards James, the one I'm most worried about. I trust them not to do anything stupid, I say. It's a good thing I'm the one taking the oath then, says James with a sneer. Since we've crossed paths, you've done nothing but make irrational decisions that should have gotten you killed. Granted, sneaking Nornis out of the palace was pretty stupid of me, I'll give him that, but everything else was done out of survival.
Huh?
What's he saying? Asks Oathkeeper in the dark as much as anyone else. Nothing. He wants to go first, I answer for him. James shoots me a glare. All right then, please stand in front of each other, she instructs us. James slowly drags his feet across the floor and walks towards me. Put out your right arm, she continues. I stretch out my arm in front of me. James mimics my actions, though he has to stretch out both arms since he's still chained. The Oathkeeper takes both of our hands and places mine on top of James, with hers holding us together. Suddenly, I feel something tremble, like it's vibrating deep within me. James looks slightly surprised as well. I'm just gonna do this. A symbol lights up on the back of the Oathkeeper's hand. It's a circle with many faded lines. Speak your oath and may you forever be bound to it, she says in a much deeper voice than before. Go ahead, Miss Hearth. He has to repeat what you say verbatim, Neil instructs me. I take in a deep breath and look at James. Here goes. I will not harm those of the human race, I begin. James's eyes narrow. For a brief second, doubt settles in the pit of my stomach, and I believe he won't go through with it after all. He starts, making me exhale in relief, will not harm those of the human race. The symbol on the Oathkeeper's hand blinks, and one of the lines in the circle burns into her skin. Go on, say the next line, Neil urges me. I look back at James, trying to calm myself down despite the constant humming my body is experiencing. This feels so... I'm not sure how to describe it. Final? Serious? Like I'm at gunpoint. I will cooperate and do as I'm told by the members of the Defense Against Extraterrestrial Terrorism team. As of now, that includes almost everyone in this room. James slowly exhales, taking his time to speak. I will cooperate and do as I'm told by the members of the Defense Against Extraterrestrial Terrorism team, he repeats. Another line of the symbol burns into Oathkeeper's skin. I will not contact or communicate in any way with the extraterrestrials who sent me to Earth. James follows me along, and another line is added to the circle. We're almost done. I will do anything in my power to help defeat any extraterrestrial threat against Earth. James mindlessly repeats after me, and the final part, I will not remove, deactivate, or destroy this bracelet on my wrist. I will not remove, deactivate, or destroy this bracelet on my wrist, James exhales. Is that the oath you take? Asks the Oathkeeper of James. You have to say yes, I tell him. He grunts, slightly peeved at how long and thorough this is. Yes. In an instant, I feel something burn through my hand and I shriek in response, pulling it away. I hold my hand close to my chest. It stings. James blinks down at his hand and I can see from here the symbol is burned into his skin. It's like it transferred over from the Oathkeeper to him. That's when I notice the same symbol is on the back of my hand too. Oh, no wonder it stings. Oh. That is the symbol of your oath, Oathkeeper explains. Only the Keeper may break it. How do I break it? I ask, suddenly beating myself over the head that I didn't ask this before actually going through with it. You chop off your hand, she says in a serious tone. I look at her, completely horrified. Upon seeing my reaction, she starts to laugh out loud. No, you silly. Nothing that dramatic. You just hold the hand that contains the oath to your heart and say you wish to break the oath. You can think it too. I close my eyes, sighing heavily. I just about had a heart attack. You may unchain him, guards. Neil instructs the guards holding James. They remove the chains from his wrists and ankles, leaving behind the bracelet. With this oath, he's not allowed to harm us, so he's not a threat anymore. He also can't fly away as long as he continues to wear the bracelet. We have effectively neutered him and rendered him harmless. I know you can understand me, so as the founding member of the Defense Against Extraterrestrial Terrorism team, that's such a mouthful. You will now be instructed to follow Miss Hearth's commands for the time being. James stares at him blankly. I quickly realize he doesn't know my last name. He means me, I pipe in awkwardly. My last name is Hearth. The Oathkeeper claps her hands together. All right, next. Are you really sure about this? If either of them break that stupid oath, you'll die, Eric warns me. He's not happy about this one bit. Yeah, I thought about it. It's okay, Eric. I'll be fine. I hope. At least I trust Eok more. Using my other hand this time, we repeat the same process with Eok. His last command differs from James. He's not allowed to remove James's bracelet, as Eok doesn't have one of his own. And finally, both oaths are taken. I now carry 2 symbolic circles on the back of my hands. Earthlings have very sophisticated technology, Eok says in amazement. I giggle a little. It's not technology, just something someone was born with. A lot of people here have a unique ability. Just like the princess. Yes, just like me. Wait. Oh, right. I turn to the both of them. I innocently tilt my head to the side. I forgot to tell you, but I lied from the moment you took me aboard your ship. I'm not a princess at all. I'm just a regular civilian on Earth. Out of everything we've done and said today, this is what get James's jaw to drop open. Oh, we'll never know. We'll never know. Well, we'll know the next time I play. So I will see you in the next one.